Welcome to Heartline Stories. Today's story follows Jennifer, a single mom, and Robert, a successful billionaire CEO. When their worlds collide, a series of unexpected events unfold. Jennifer's life takes a shocking turn, and Robert's cold heart starts to change. But with all the obstacles they face, will their love survive? What happens next will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let us know where you're watching from. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories. It was a busy morning at the corporate office of Bennett Enterprises, and Marcus Bennett, the CEO, was feeling the weight of his responsibilities. He had made his company one of the biggest in the country, but lately he was beginning to feel something was missing in his life. He was successful, wealthy, and admired by everyone, but he didn't have a family and he longed to be a father. Marcus sat in his office, scrolling through papers about a new project he was starting. It was a huge deal that would secure his company's future. However, there was something else on his mind, something more personal. He wanted to have a child, but Marcus wasn't interested in a relationship, and he knew he didn't have the time to settle down. He needed a solution that was practical and simple. So Marcus came up with a plan. He would hire a woman to have his baby. He'd take care of everything, financially and emotionally, but there would be no strings attached. The arrangement would be clear, and he would raise his child in a stable environment without the need for a relationship. After weeks of interviews and searching, Marcus found the perfect candidate, Hannah. Hannah was young, kind, and had a quiet elegance about her that immediately stood out. She had always dreamed of helping people, and when Marcus's offer came through, it seemed like a way to make some money while doing something good. Hannah wasn't looking for love. She had made the choice to stay focused on her goals. She had a strict idea of how her life would go, and raising a child was always something she thought about doing someday. When she met Marcus for the first time, he was charming, but Hannah couldn't help feeling nervous. She had never met someone as powerful and confident as him. His wealth and success were obvious, but there was something warm about him too. As they discussed the terms of the contract, she noticed he seemed genuine and kind, not the cold businessman she had expected. "I just want to make sure we're on the same page," Marcus said, looking at her carefully. "I don't want any complications. I'll take care of everything financially, and you'll have the support you need. There's no rush, no pressure, just an agreement that benefits both of us." Hannah nodded. "I understand. I just want to help in any way I can." Marcus smiled. "I'm glad. I think this could work out for both of us." After that day, they both signed the contract, and soon Hannah moved into a small, peaceful apartment near Marcus's estate. They began the process of pregnancy and agreed to meet regularly to check on the baby's progress. Marcus was respectful and kept things professional, just as they had agreed. However, as the weeks went by, something unexpected started happening. Hannah began to open up to Marcus. He wasn't just the CEO anymore. He was someone who genuinely cared. They would have conversations about their hopes, dreams, and even their fears. But there was something else that made Marcus feel a strange pull toward her. He had hired Hannah to carry his child, but she wasn't like the women he was used to. Most women he knew had lived fast-paced lives with no time for much else. But Hannah was different. She had an innocence about her that made him want to protect her. There was an air of mystery around her, something he couldn't quite figure out. One day as they met for another checkup, Marcus noticed something new in Hannah. She looked more beautiful than ever, but there was also a quiet sadness in her eyes. As they talked, he found himself wanting to know more about her life. Hannah, can I ask you something personal? He said, breaking the silence. Of course, she said, looking up at him. I know we've been focused on the baby and the contract, but who are you really? What's your story? What makes you happy? Hannah hesitated for a moment, then sighed. I've always been focused on my goals, helping people, creating a life for myself. But I haven't really had a chance to live. I've never been in a serious relationship. In fact, I've never even, you know, been with a man. Marcus's eyes widened in surprise. Wait, you're saying you're a virgin? Hannah nodded. Yes, I never really felt the need for it. I wanted to save myself for someone special, if that ever happened. But I guess sometimes life just doesn't work out the way you plan. Marcus was taken aback. He hadn't expected this. He was used to confident, independent women, and the thought that Hannah had never been in a serious relationship surprised him. But at the same time, it made him feel something he hadn't felt before: protectiveness, and something more, something deeper. I respect that, Hannah, Marcus said, his voice soft. I really do. From that moment on, things began to change between them. Marcus couldn't stop thinking about her. She was different from anyone he had ever met. There was a quiet strength about her, and her kindness made him want to be a better man. As he spent more time with her, he realized that his feelings for her were growing stronger. One evening, as they sat on the balcony overlooking the city, Marcus turned to Hannah. You've changed something in me, Hannah, he admitted. When I first hired you, I never expected this. But now, I don't know what I'm feeling. I think I'm falling for you. Hannah looked at him, her heart racing. Marcus, you're a billionaire. You've been surrounded by beautiful, successful women your entire life. Why would you want someone like me? Because you're real, Marcus said, taking her hand. You're not like the others. You've shown me a different way to live. I want you, Hannah, not just for the baby, but for everything. Hannah's heart skipped a beat. She had never imagined this kind of connection with him, and now the possibility of something more felt overwhelming. But there were still so many questions. Could their connection survive? Could Marcus's feelings for her be real? Or was it just the situation that was making everything seem so intense? As the baby grew, so did their feelings for each other. But the road ahead would not be easy, and both of them had to face the challenges of their own hearts. As weeks turned into months, Jennifer and Robert's bond only grew stronger. They spent time together every chance they got, balancing their busy lives while navigating their very different worlds. Robert's business empire required his attention, but he made sure that he was always there for Jennifer and her children, never missing an opportunity to be part of their lives. Jennifer, on the other hand, had to keep a careful balance between her role as a mother, her job, and the growing relationship with Robert. At times it felt overwhelming, but she was learning to lean on him more and more. Robert never made her feel like a burden. In fact, he always found ways to make things easier for her, whether it was taking care of the kids while she worked or helping with household tasks. Still, despite everything going well, Jennifer couldn't shake off the doubt that sometimes crept into her mind. One evening after a long week of work, Jennifer was at home with her kids preparing dinner. She was trying to juggle everything, as usual, when the doorbell rang. Her heart skipped a beat. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, standing on the other side was Robert, his face serious. Hey, he said softly, stepping inside. Can we talk? Jennifer nodded, letting him in. They moved to the living room, and Robert sat down on the couch, looking at her with an expression she couldn't quite read. I've been thinking a lot, he began. I know things are moving fast between us, and I just want to make sure that you're comfortable. Are you? Jennifer hesitated for a moment before speaking, unsure of how to respond. I am, she said, though she wasn't sure if she truly meant it. But sometimes I just feel like I'm not giving enough to my kids or to you. It's hard to balance everything, Robert. I understand, he said, his voice gentle. I've been thinking about how we can make things work better for you, for us. I know your life is already complicated, but I want to make it easier. I want to be the partner you need. If you want, I could help more with the kids, help around the house, or even get a nanny or housekeeper so you have more time for yourself. You don't have to do it all on your own. Jennifer blinked, taken aback. You'd do that? She asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Robert nodded. Of course. I care about you, Jennifer, and I want to make sure that you're not only happy, but that you don't feel overwhelmed by everything. I'm here for you. Jennifer's heart swelled with emotion. It had been a while since she'd felt like anyone cared about her needs this much, outside of her kids. She felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she thought about how much easier things could be if Robert's offer was genuine. But even as she felt a sense of relief, a small voice of doubt still whispered in the back of her mind. Was this too good to be true? Could their love really withstand all the challenges that lay ahead? Robert seemed to sense her hesitation, reaching out to take her hand. You're not alone in this, Jennifer. We can do this together. I know you're worried, but I'm willing to take it slow, to help you every step of the way. Jennifer stared at him for a long moment, her mind racing. She was beginning to believe that Robert was different. He was patient, understanding, and ready to support her in every way he could. But she still wasn't sure if she was truly ready to let go of her fears and trust him completely. She had been let down before, and the scars from past relationships weren't easily forgotten. I appreciate everything you've said, Jennifer replied softly, but I think I just need a little more time. I don't want to rush into anything, not when it comes to my heart and my kids. I need to be sure. Robert nodded, his expression understanding. Take all the time you need. I'll be here when you're ready. And so Jennifer continued to carefully navigate her relationship with Robert. She allowed herself to open up more each day, slowly letting go of her doubts and fears. Over time, they found a rhythm that worked for both of them. She saw Robert in a new light, someone who wasn't just the successful CEO, but a man who truly wanted to build a life together, to love her and her children as his own. Still, Jennifer was cautious. She wasn't ready to fully let go of her independence just yet, and she struggled with the idea of becoming too dependent on Robert. But his kindness, his patience, and his genuine love for her made it harder to hold back. As the months passed, Jennifer found herself falling deeper for Robert, but she wasn't the only one changing. Robert, too, was beginning to see the world through a different lens. Jennifer had shown him what really mattered in life: family, love, and the small moments that made everything worthwhile. One day as they sat in the park with the kids, Robert turned to Jennifer with a smile on his face. I've been thinking, he said, taking her hand, you've taught me so much about what really matters. And I think I'm ready for the next step. I want to be with you, Jennifer, not just for now, but for always. Jennifer's heart raced. This was the moment she had been waiting for. But it was also the moment that made her the most nervous. "Are you sure?" she asked softly. Robert nodded. "I'm sure." Just as they were about to share a kiss, Jennifer's phone rang, interrupting the moment. She quickly glanced at the screen. It was an urgent call from work. "Sorry," she said, answering the phone. "Hello." As she spoke, Robert watched her, a thoughtful expression on his face. Something told him that this was just the beginning of a new chapter for both of them, a chapter that would be filled with challenges and joy. And no matter what came their way, he was ready to face it with Jennifer by his side. As time passed, Robert and Jennifer grew even closer. They continued to navigate the complexities of their relationship. Despite all the differences between them, his billionaire status and her hard-working single mom lifestyle, they found common ground and built a solid foundation of trust and love. One evening, after a particularly stressful day, Robert took Jennifer out to dinner. They sat at a quiet table in a small, cozy restaurant, enjoying each other's company. Jennifer smiled as she sipped her wine, noticing how calm and comfortable she felt around him. They had come so far from where they had started. "Robert, I just want to say thank you," she said, setting her glass down, "for everything, for being patient with me, and for never pressuring me. I've never felt so understood." Robert smiled warmly, reaching across the table to take her hand. "Jennifer, it's been my pleasure. I don't want you to change who you are. You're incredible just the way you are, and I want to be there for you, for everything you are, not just the woman I love." Jennifer's heart swelled with emotion. She hadn't expected to feel so loved and accepted. She had spent so many years being afraid of not being enough, of not being able to balance her life, her responsibilities, and her dreams. But Robert was different. He believed in her, not just as the woman in his life, but as the strong, capable person she had always been. But despite this deep connection, Jennifer still had doubts. She worried about her children's future, about how they would adjust to Robert's world. They had never had a lot of wealth, and she didn't want them to feel disconnected or out of place. She knew she needed to think about the bigger picture. One night, after tucking her kids into bed, Jennifer sat down with Robert. She had been feeling uneasy about their future, and she needed to voice her concerns. "Robert," she began carefully, "I've been thinking a lot about the future. You know how much I love my kids and I want to make sure they're taken care of, but I'm still worried about how they will fit into your world. I don't want them to feel like they're living in a different reality." Robert looked at her, his expression full of understanding. "Jennifer, you don't need to worry about that. I want to be part of their lives too. I'm not going to push anything on them. I'll respect their space, but I also want to show them that they have someone who cares." Jennifer nodded slowly, relieved by his words, but there was still something she needed to say. "I just want to be sure that this is real," she said softly, "that we're not just moving forward because of the circumstances, but because we both truly want this." Robert's gaze softened. "I'm here because I care about you, Jennifer, and I want to build a future with you. A real future. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have even considered what we have now. I didn't think love could be like this." Jennifer smiled, feeling reassured by his words. But still, in the back of her mind, there was one question that lingered. How could she protect her family while opening her heart fully to Robert? The weeks continued to pass, and things only seemed to get more complicated. As much as Jennifer had started to trust in their future, the challenges of being a single mother still weighed heavily on her. And Robert's life, filled with high-stakes business deals and public appearances, often left Jennifer feeling overwhelmed. There were times when the reality of their situation seemed almost too much to handle. One day she found herself standing in her kitchen, staring at a photo of her kids from a recent trip they had taken. Robert had been kind enough to join them, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they didn't truly belong in his world. Her children, who had been raised with modest values, could never truly understand the life that Robert had led for so long. She picked up her phone, texting Robert, "Can we talk tonight? I have some things on my mind." That evening, after their dinner together, they sat down to have the conversation Jennifer had been putting off for weeks. "Robert," she began, her voice trembling, "I love you and I believe in what we have, but I still don't know how we make it work long term. I'm a mom first, and no matter how much I care about you, I don't want to lose sight of my priorities. I don't want to feel like I'm losing my family in the process." Robert listened carefully, his eyes never leaving hers. He could see the fear in her eyes, the concern she had for her children's future, but he also saw the depth of her love for him and for her kids. This was something worth fighting for. "I understand, Jennifer," he said, his voice gentle. "You've been juggling so much, and it's hard to think about the future when everything is so uncertain. But I promise you I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support you, to make sure that your family remains a priority. If we have to take it slow, we will. But I'm committed to making this work, no matter how long it takes." Jennifer took a deep breath, feeling some of the tension lift from her shoulders. She knew this wasn't going to be easy, but Robert was right. They didn't have to rush. They could take it one step at a time. And so, with that promise in place, Jennifer and Robert began to move forward together, hand in hand. They both knew that love wasn't always easy, but with patience and trust, they could face whatever challenges life threw their way. But even as things began to settle, Jennifer still had one thing on her mind. Could their love truly survive in a world so different from their own? She couldn't help but wonder. But for now, they would face whatever came their way together. As time passed, Jennifer and Robert faced many obstacles. They both worked hard to maintain their relationship, balancing their personal lives with their professional responsibilities. There were moments of doubt where Jennifer wondered if their worlds could truly merge. After all, she was still a single mom, with all the demands of raising her children and managing her own career. Robert, despite his wealth and success, also had his own challenges, managing a multi-billion-dollar company and dealing with the pressures that came with it. But through it all, they were there for each other, showing support, love, and understanding. Robert proved time and time again that he wasn't just a CEO, he was a man who cared deeply for Jennifer and her children. Jennifer, in turn, reminded Robert of the importance of family, love, and the simple things that money could never buy. One evening, after a particularly stressful week, Robert took Jennifer and the kids on a trip to the beach. They walked along the shoreline, the waves crashing gently at their feet. Robert, who had once been distant and focused solely on his work, now relished in these quiet, simple moments. He realized that the true wealth in life wasn't the money or success, it was the people you love and the memories you create together. As the sun began to set, Robert turned to Jennifer, his voice soft and sincere. "Jennifer, I can't imagine my life without you in it. I don't want to just live for myself anymore. I want to live for us, for this family we're building." Jennifer smiled, feeling her heart swell with emotion. She had found love in the most unexpected way, and she wasn't going to let it slip away. She had already learned that life wasn't perfect, but it was about the people you choose to surround yourself with and the love you give and receive. I love you, Robert, she said, her voice steady with conviction, and I want us, to work. With that, Robert took her hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. We'll make it work. Together. The weeks turned into months, and their relationship only grew stronger. Robert continued to be a steady presence in Jennifer's life, helping her manage the chaos of motherhood while also supporting her career. He loved her children as his own, and they began to see him not just as their mom's boyfriend, but as a true father figure. Eventually, Robert made a decision that would change everything. He sold off a portion of his business, something he had never thought possible, to dedicate more time to Jennifer and her children. His empire was still standing strong, but he now prioritized what truly mattered, his family. Jennifer, in turn, found herself balancing her dreams with her love for Robert and her children. She never lost sight of who she was, but she also found that love could be a powerful force for growth. She had found someone who accepted her as she was, children and all, and that made her stronger than ever before. As the years went by, Jennifer and Robert built a life full of love, adventure, and growth. They became a team, overcoming any obstacles that came their way. Their story wasn't a fairy tale. It was real, full of challenges and triumphs. But in the end, it was a love that changed them both for the better. And so, Jennifer and Robert proved that even the coldest hearts could be warmed by love, and that sometimes the most unexpected encounters could lead to the greatest joys in life. Together, they built a future stronger than anything they could have imagined. Thank you for joining us on this Heartline story. Will love and patience be enough to overcome their challenges? Stay tuned for more, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.